Nothing in this podcast is intended as investment advice, and the people in this podcast may hold positions in the stocks they talk about. Do not buy any investment based solely on a tip or recommendation. Please do your own research.
Hello and welcome to Sunday Roast. It's Sunday the 4th of June, start of meteorological summer in the Northern Hemisphere, and boy has it been cracking the flags. Enjoying the weather in the UK, Kev?
Yeah, it's been very nice. It was a beautiful walk yesterday around one of the parks here in Liverpool, around the water. It was very nice. It's but at the same time, I still had my coat on, and everyone else had the t-shirts on.
Can't shake off that what is like an easterly. I think it's coming in from the North Sea, isn't it? And the wind, it's like a really cold breeze. It's bizarre, but I think Saturday was a better day, and I think it's due for the next. Looking at the forecast for the next 2 weeks, we're going to be in the mid-20s, so hopefully it will shake off some of that cold air. Don't think you have those problems in Cairo at this time of year.
No, Naveen was telling me there was a big sandstorm yesterday, and it was
it affected the Suez, didn't it? I saw that on the news.
That's right. 40 degrees centigrade yesterday, down to 35 over the weekend. I'm flying back to Cairo with my mother on Saturday, so the air conditioning is going to be going full blast, I would imagine. And then maybe we go to the north coast, to the Mediterranean for a couple of days, so we will see. Nice. So, yep. All good.
So what have we got news this week? The papers seem to be filled with this AI doom and gloom, this artificial intelligence. It's the amount of press you hear about it or see is unreal. I mean, saying it's effectively could wipe humans out and turn against us, really. So Mark Warner, a member of the UK's Government AI Council and head of Faculty AI, has suggested that some advanced artificial general intelligence, AGI systems, may need to be prohibited due to potential risks. He stressed the need for stronger transparency, audit requirements and safety measures for AGI. Comments follow the EU and US's joint statement advocating for a voluntary AI practice code. While Warner acknowledged the concerns over potential AI biases and overregulation stifling innovation, he argued that safety measures are crucial for leveraging the technology's value and could offer competitive edge. What do you make of that? I mean, do you think that it does pose a real threat to humanity?
I think it possibly does, but I think it's too late.
Yeah. They've already pushed it out. GPT.
I think it's like artificial intelligence does what? It learns from what you put into it. So every day it's getting more intelligent and more knowledgeable and more having the ability to do certain things. So I think we've opened the box. We've opened Pandora's box, and trying to put Pandora back in the box ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, I think someone was saying that it's an interesting one because it's not sentient, meaning it doesn't have a mind of its. Obviously, it has a mind of its own, but it doesn't have that ability to sort of envy, gluttony. You know, it's like the Ten Commandments. Does it have the feeling and emotions of turning evil and being sentient and feeling those emotions? If that makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think any artificial intelligence can be programmed to feel those things.
Yeah.
Or to act in that way. I mean, it's not a big ask for it to say you want to act in that way. So I think there's going to be problems with it, but there's also going to be big upsides as well.
The thing that concerns me is I mean, I saw it last week on Twitter. There was a picture it generates AI generated photos, and there was a photo of an explosion near the Pentagon, and it caused Twitter to go off. Everyone was saying, "No, it's under attack." And it was later confirmed that the photo was AI generated. So the stock markets fell back in the US about 4 or 5% just in this sort of hour window where everyone was scrambling around trying to confirm it. So to have that impact from one photo that's AI generated online, all you need is someone to say, someone to generate something saying that there's been someone's launching an attack on a neighboring country, and then what can happen from that? Nuclear war could be, that's the sort of worry, in my opinion, is how it could threaten us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's not good.
So what about the whole WhatsApp messages from former Prime Minister Boris Johnson for this COVID inquiry? What do you make of that? What are your thoughts on whether the Cabinet Office should be refusing these unredacted WhatsApp messages stating that it's a violation of individuals' privacy and could damage future decision-making?
They have a lot to hide, obviously.
Cynical, I like it.
But the scenario is that, what can you say? They're fighting it. Are they fighting it because of basically just to waste time to try and make it happen? Or is Mr. Johnson saying he's going to dump everybody in the proverbial if if they don't try and help him, I don't know. There's many theories I think you could state, but
I mean, if you look at some of it, Johnson has not handed over his own messages covering the first year of COVID-19. He claims that security services told him not to turn on his old personal mobile phone, which contains WhatsApp from before May 2021, after Number became available online. XPM says he will hand over the device if intelligence officials can guarantee his security.
yeah, I think it's a mess, but nothing new there.
Absolutely. What else have we? I mean, we've had the whole of the media seems to be absolutely obsessed with this Philip Schofield interview. I mean, the BBC has admitted, obviously, they interviewed him when he admitted an affair with a younger male colleague, expressing regret and stating he does not see a future for his TV career. Schofield described the affair as a grave error and emphasised his remorse. Amid the controversy and questions over ITV's handling of the matter, the distressed presenter voiced doubts about returning to television, stating, "I have lost everything." I mean, they're whipping up a storm here, right?
Yeah, well, I think the reality is, do you feel sorry for him? If you feel sorry for him, then good luck to you. If you don't feel sorry for him, good luck to you. The press are going to attack him, and they're not going to leave him until they've destroyed him, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, absolutely.
All his enemies are coming out. 20 years in TV, and he's obviously annoyed quite a few people, and they're going to come and get him.
Yeah.
Are they going to stop until they've completely destroyed him? I doubt it.
I don't think they'll stop now. I think they're absolutely right. And I think his concern is that, from the interview, is that they're going to destroy this young lad as well. Maybe he should have thought about that before he did what he did. But ultimately, he is apparently covering this young lad's legal fees, and he just wants everybody to stop hounding this young lad. So, yeah, I don't know what to make of that one, but I'm sure it'll all come out in the wash eventually. Great photo this week, Kev. I don't know if you saw it. Thousands of New Yorkers blocked roads to capture photographs of the sun setting between skyscrapers. You know, you look down the avenues and you see there's a gap at the end of the road. There's amazing sunset. Do you know what the name of this biannual phenomenon is called?
Yes, I saw the article, but I forget what it was called.
Is it Big Apple Solstice, Empire Eclipse, or Manhattan Henge?
Manhattan Henge.
Well done. Yeah, named for its similarities to the moment the sun aligns with standing stones at the English Neolithic site Stonehenge. On Tuesday, the full sun was visible between the skyscrapers that make up the city's grid system. Other cities with long straight streets, such as Chicago, Montreal, and Toronto, see similar phenomena. In New York, it falls 3 weeks either side of the summer solstice, with the next due in July. Winter brings the reverse effect at sunrise. And it was quite poignant because it fell on the Memorial Day there, didn't it, I believe?
Yeah, I didn't read that much about it, but yeah, the pictures looked nice. Not amazing, but nice. Yeah, all good. Yeah, all good.
So in other news, the UK's post-Brexit trade agreements with Australia and New Zealand have come into effect, marking the first of such deals post-EU exit. However, critics say the agreements give too many concessions for little return. UK's former Environment Secretary George Eustace previously criticised the UK-Australia Pact for being disadvantageous to British farmers. The government's own forecast projects a minimal long-term boost to the UK economy from these deals. Despite criticism, tariffs on UK good exports to both countries have been eliminated, and access to service markets and digital trade has been expanded. Trade Secretary Kemi Badenoch labelled this as a historic moment, while International Trade Minister Nigel Huddleston emphasised the favourable terms for British exporters. What are your thoughts on this, Kev?
Yeah, it sounds interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's another trade agreement that's been negotiated. I'm not sure how favourable the terms are, but certainly if it's been labelled as a historic moment, then we're all for it, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. I think there's going to be more and more trade alliances as we go on. I mean, this was obviously one of the things out of coming out of the European Union, wasn't it? That we were supposedly going to have more and more deals coming through and more, but it was a bit of a damp squib, wasn't it, straight away? But maybe, as time goes on, we will see.
So I guess this segues nicely onto this week's guest, coming live and direct from Australia. We're delighted to be joined by Shaun Day, CEO of Greatland Gold. How's life treating you, Shaun?
Yeah, really well. Thanks, guys, for having me on again.
Yeah, did you presumably you heard the previous question or news statement about this post-Brexit trade agreement with Australia? I mean, any thoughts on that being on the ground there, how it impacts you or the business at all?
Oh, look, I think it's tremendous news for both the UK and Australia. Obviously, a great and long history together, an existing strong trade relationship, and this allows that to flourish. And I'm delighted that Australia is the first country to set up a new free trade agreement with the UK. And I think it's just a reflection of a very strong relationship across strategic defence, trade, and also culturally. I think this is great news.
So the company announced this week that it's formed a joint venture with Rio Tinto to explore 1,884 square kilometres of territory in Western Australia's Paterson province near the Havieron gold-copper project. The area, dubbed the Paterson South Project, is underexplored but rich in potential, and the partnership aligns with Greatland's strategy for Australian asset growth. The deal allows Greatland to earn up to 75% interest in the project over 2 stages, with an initial minimum commitment of 1.1 million Australian dollars and 2,000 metres of drilling by December 2024. The project enhances Greatland's presence in the region and paves the way for future exploration and possible discoveries. Just how much of an opportunity does this present, Shaun?
This is a huge opportunity. This is new ground for Greatland. We kind of earn in, we take over as manager, and this is the ground we absolutely wanted. This is underexplored, sits along strike from our present holdings, largely sits within 50 kilometres of that Telfer mill, which I think gives you proximity to, again, existing infrastructure. But best of all, the quality of this land is amazing. It's a big space, and quantity has a quality all of its own. But most importantly, there are just some amazing targets. And, great credit to Rio Tinto in terms of doing a huge amount of geophysical work and geotech work to prove these up. But some of the targets here they look more like Havieron than Havieron. They're great.
So, Shaun, the hunted has become the hunter. What's happened? Has Greatland Gold grown to such a size that it's now taken land from a major and turning it into a mine? What's happened?
Well, that's a nice summary. And I think we've spoken before about really my first 2 years at Greatland, was on the defensive. It was getting in place funding. It was getting in place, navigating that 5%, building a team. That does culminate with that cross-listing onto the ASX, which again, we think is important to complete the platform. But I've talked about shifting gears from defense to offense, and this is the first step. And, I emphasize the first step, but we don't get these opportunities unless we built the team we have. This is, tremendous ground that we're taking on with Rio Tinto, but I think it also tremendously reflects on Greatland that we were chosen in what became a bilateral process to be their partner in the Paterson. And that reflects, the opportunities we get from having the board we do, but also the confidence that other teams in the Paterson have in our technical team. And I think we also shouldn't underestimate our community engagement in the Paterson, and that we were respected for that, because that is also important to Rio Tinto. So I think it reflects the maturity and the platform that we've set up. And this is a world-class exploration opportunity.
I was a bit shocked because I think I said to you before we started talking on the interview that I thought you'd had land and Rio Tinto had come in and joint venture was happening and everything else. And then when I started to investigate and read the details, effectively, yes, you've taken the lead here, and you're going to carry on producing hopefully more and more results in the Paterson. And I can hear from your voice that you're extremely excited about this. This is, Telfer ground. This is Havieron ground. These are, million-ounce discoveries, multi-million-ounce discoveries. I mean, prospectively, you're hoping that this is going to be the same sort of thing, I take it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And really, I think what I'd like to convey is the days of Greatland giving away our best assets to other people to manage, to other people to own a majority of, really, I think, are behind us. Now the opportunity is, we've got this team, we've got this expertise. I think we have this reputation for excellence. Now we have the opportunity to be the manager of these assets and to keep more of that value equation for ourselves, our own shareholders. That's fun. It's an exciting opportunity. And most importantly, we think it can drive shareholder value.
Okay. I mean, I sound shocked now, I think, but I think this really is a sea change for Greatland Gold. I mean, I think I'll reiterate the comment that you have now become the hunter rather than the hunted. And the perspective of these areas is obviously could be amazing. Obviously, it could not achieve the results that you want, but I don't think the market really realized what was going on or has gone on and has happened. And we've got to look at the Lassonde curve with Greatland Gold. For any listeners who don't understand the Lassonde curve, and I don't understand it completely either, do you want to give us a bit of a rundown, Shaun, on just how that normally works in this mining environment?
Yeah, look, I think it was Pierre Lassonde who first described this curve, but it was just the natural, I guess, share price evolution of the company from, junior explorer, a big lift up when they first hit exploration success, and then perhaps the realities of, raising funds, actually putting a mine plan around something, and the hard grind of of developing a site. In our case, putting a decline ramp down to the ore body. We're super fortunate to have a plant already in situ, but we still had a very meaningful amount of surface works. And then, of course, as that gets complete and people can see the production on the horizon, you start climbing to, at least on the curve, what's an even taller peak as you achieve production and realization of what started as a vision. I think I probably described the curve reasonably well there.
Yeah, so where have Greatland been and where are they now, and where do you anticipate they will go?
Without trying to comment on share price, but I think what you have seen is, again, that Lassonde curve play out a little bit, where you have the initial exploration success, the exuberance of that, and then people understand that you have to go and raise capital. And there's a series of ways or different ways that Greatland has raised capital. Obviously, doing a joint venture was a way of raising capital. Effectively, 70% of our capital to develop Havieron then came from Newcrest. But equally, we've put in that debt piece, we've raised some equity, and the hard grind of their development has been occurring since February 2021. And that's what I joined the company for. I actually find that incredibly fulfilling. Both the corporate achievements we've done, but also just seeing that physical achievement at Havieron. But now I think we start to move into the countdown of top of the ore body in early 2024, and first production in that, first ore in 2024 calendar year. We're in the countdown now. And I think as that becomes more tangible, partly that's why you're seeing, more and more institutional investors come in, because they also can see that this has moved from vision to increasing reality.
When do you see that the Australian listing will happen?
Look, we talk about the September quarter, which is, we're just about to at the end of May. So the September quarter starts from 1 July. My sense is kind of it's mid-quarter, because it's a bit of a process, including we will seek a scheme of arrangement in London for shareholder approval. So all that needs to be done ahead of time, but it's somewhat imminent. We've been working on it actively for the last couple of months. So in our minds, at least, that again is moving from vision to translating into a very clear process with a completion date.
So do you anticipate a fair few high net worth individuals and institutions looking forward to it coming on board in Australia, so you can buy some of your own gold?
Yeah, look, I think what we feel is that, right now, our share register is very largely London. There's a couple of high profile Australian-based groups also on the register now. People appreciate Wailu and Tribeca, who came in and cornerstone the last equity raise respectively, but there's really not a huge Australian presence. Australia is now the fourth largest pool of capital on the planet. Oversized amount of that is allocated for resources. People know this asset in Australia. They know the team. We feel we'll get traction there, and there's not going to be selling coming out of Australia. These are new buyers, be them institutional, be them retail, be them high net worth individuals. We're keen to tap all of those items as we continue to be in London. But what we want to do is bring more demand to the stock. And people that understand the asset and have tracked it for some time are perhaps the lowest hanging fruit in terms of bringing new buyers in. And if I just add a little bit more colour, a number of the ASX funds are mandate locked to ASX. So they can only buy you if you are ASX listed. That doesn't mean they have to buy you on the ASX. They can still come and buy you on London, but they are ASX mandated funds. That is a market that is presently closed to us, which will open with this cross-listing.
So there's even going to be tracker funds that will have to buy you, I presume.
Yeah, well, look, we are very index aware. It does, that should occur. And we do think over time, there is increasing tracker funds or index funds that follow the stock. So yeah, look, all those things are beneficial, and that is a little bit of a limitation on the AIM. That's not a really an indexed exchange. So whilst if we come onto the ASX over time, we should be able to build a presence in some of those indexes, and indexes buying is good because it just creates a base load of demand.
Yeah, let's talk about the Havieron debt funding, because obviously there was an update as well last week on that. Obviously, you said that the letter of support confirms the banking syndicate's continued support, and obviously grants Greatland improved visibility regarding the proposed debt requirements, offering financial flexibility. So how are things going? Obviously, the feasibility study, I think, was delayed from its October 2022 planned completion, but there's been quite a lot of development of the Havieron decline. Is things going well there?
Yeah, look, the decline goes from strength to strength. I think the guidance was originally the first half of calendar 2024. I think previously we've flagged in announcements that's more March 2024. We haven't changed guidance, but it's always good to be ahead of the curve, so to speak. So I think the decline is doing a great job, and we think the site team, we think the burn cut contract miners at site are all just moving ahead really well right now. So that's incredibly encouraging. The feasibility study is required before commercial mining. So that really does stamp a 2024 date on that feasibility study, or at least no later than 2024. That is required by the joint venture. It's required because it needs to be a mutual, it needs Greatland consent. We would not waive that unless extraordinary circumstances. So we think we have, proximity to that date. It could come early, of course.
Yeah.
But I think I've said before, look, we feel Newcrest is, pretty focused on being taken over by Newmont. That's a lot of time, energy, and effort being spent there. They could surprise us with early delivery, but we think we have pretty good visibility on it. And in truth, we don't think it comes out till post merger. So which again lends itself to that 2024 date.
So how does this new letter of support prevent you or Greatland from incurring any further debt then?
We had a bit of an indulgence with the bank, because remember, we entered this in September. I think you referenced just then in your previous question, an October 2023 definitive feasibility study date, which Newcrest had announced on multiple occasions that for whatever confluence of reasons, and perhaps in hindsight a takeover bid was one of them, they've pivoted on that. The banks, ANZ, HSBC and ING, we are incredibly appreciative of their ongoing support. But really, we expected to be drawing it down around shortly after that DFS. They've indulged us for 9 months now, with us kind of saying, look, let's just wait. Because what we feel strongly is we don't want to be in a position where we're drawing debt based on, the PFS, production profile and cash flow profile. We want to see the definitive feasibility study, and so does the banks. And I think it's just prudent that you don't want to draw funds when you don't know your own timetable to repay them. Now, we feel really positive about it, and we're in the really fortunate position of having a cash balance that affords us that flexibility to be prudent and measured in the way we think about debt, which is good. Yeah. But just to emphasize, that 220 million 7-year facility remains there with the same banks, and at some stage, we still expect to progress it. And I think that creates a cornerstone of taking us, right through into production and into free cash flow.
Very good. I mean, it's good that you've got such, good support or big support from the institutions, as you mentioned. You've the YLU, you've got the INZ, the HSBC, and obviously the ING Bank of Australia as well. So very, very well supported there. On the retail side of things, I was actually reading one of the shareholder support groups or Facebook groups, and you'll like this question.
Yeah. Support groups.
Support groups, yeah. Do they actually mine anything or spend all their time drilling like an explorer. What's your answer to that one, Shaun?
Yeah, look, I look. Hopefully, people appreciate that I do my level best to engage with our broader share base, and I think the town halls are really effective with that. I think the social media and podcast and platforms such as yourselves, I'm really grateful to in terms of giving me that added ability to engage with people. Yeah, it's a fair question, and it's good to see people interested, but obviously it's up to me to do my best to bring people along on the journey and communicate our message, and hopefully they realize that, well, not only have we done a heap of drilling into Havieron to delineate 6.5 million ounces and growing, but in addition, since February 2021, we're now more than 2 years into what is ballpark a 3-year development of Havieron. So more than drilling, we've also excavated over 2,000 meters of decline ramp, a 5.8 by 6 meter decline to access the top of the ore body. That's been a huge amount of work. All the surface infrastructure is virtually in place. And we have the mill down the road in Telfer. So I think this is a very de-risked and very tangible story. And I like to think we've done a lot more than drilling, but it's not nice that we're doing drilling, and it's also nice that we've got some even better places to drill. If I take us back to the Rio Tinto announcement as well, it's both.
I think I read to you Josh Shepherd's response, and your words were I probably couldn't have put it better myself. So kudos to him for explaining it.
Yeah, you did read that out to me before on air, and it was. I think I might have said you should just read that out because you might have done a better job than me. But you look, and it's good, and it's great that there's people out there who follow the story more closely, and not everyone has the time to unpack everything. But it is, look, I like to think that also reflects that maybe our message is cutting through as well.
Okay, it feels to me like this is a culmination of the perfect storm, or maybe it's the perfect sunshine day, because I mean you're in the right place in the Lassonde curve, the Australian listing comment, this basically joint venturing in this ground with Rio Tinto. All of those things effectively are putting you in a position where, from a value point of view, the opportunity to increase the value of this company now has got to be sort of almost like a rocket on the launching pad, because all of these things are going to enhance the company going forward. And I mean, I know that sounds a bit like a sales pitch, but it really does now start to add up and look like an incredible opportunity for people. You don't have to
I probably would like to say something briefly, which is, I love to orientate people around our strategy slide. And there's 3 pillars to our strategy. And I do try to, with every step we do, I try to reflect on that strategy and its consistency. But it is to deliver an expanded Havieron, invest in the drill bit and improve the optionality in the stock price with exploration success, and look at inorganic opportunities. And I think, being able to complete this transaction, this earn-in with Rio Tinto we couldn't pick better ground. That's the inorganic success transaction. That facilitates more investment in the drill bit to improve the optionality around the exploration. And of course, as we all appreciate, we remain super focused on delivering an expanded Havieron and seeing that first gold pour.
Okay. So now that we're talking to you finally, I'm the one who's smouldering hot here in Egypt, and you're probably in midwinter down there in Australia, or coming close to it. What would you have for roast in the winter months in Australia?
Yeah, it's very late autumn, so it is a bit wet here right now, which is, I never complain about rain in Australia. We don't get that much of it, but I had a great Italian meal last night, and as it gets a little bit colder and you get those kind of northern Italian meals, I think that is some of the best food on the planet. So right now, the pastas for me are fantastic. So that's a bit of a focus.
Bit of carb loading. You're not running a marathon, are you, or doing any fitness training?
I should be doing more, but I try to keep my eye in. But no, I think that's can't do everything.
Exactly. Good. Well,
you've obviously been busy with this Rio deal. It's obviously it hasn't just appeared overnight. So congratulations. It's obviously taken a lot of work to get there. And I'm sure you weren't the only candidates who could have taken this land off them. So well done. And let's hope, the market starts to realize the value accretion that's there and is coming.
Thanks, gentlemen. You're right. It was look, we love dealing with Rio. They were a fantastic counterparty, but these things are a slow burn, and rest assured this process started in 2023. So we've been working on it for a while, but delighted to execute it successfully. And again, the board we have, the team we have, that reputation we have, all go into us being preferred counterparty. So look, I really appreciate the time. I appreciate people who listen in to the roast, but thanks for your time and for unpacking it to us, the questions that you did. It's really appreciate that.
Very good. Shaun Day, MD of Greatland Gold. Thanks very much for your time.
Thanks, gentlemen. Thanks again.
Thanks, Shaun.
Okay, so the week that was, best performers to date. What have we got? We've had probably the best performer is Rockfire Resources. They had some news out earlier in the week, didn't they? I think they moved circa 50% on the 5 days.
4 days.
Yeah, the 5 days, the 5 trading days.
4 trading days.
Oh, yes, it's a short week. Start that again. So they've moved circa 50% in the last 4 days. Basically, they raised £880,000 before expenses from Paloma Precious through the subscription of 400 million newly issued shares at 0.22 pence. The placing price represented roughly a 29% discount from the close 31st of May. Paloma is a large trading house, and the investment provides Rockfire with financial confidence. Did you see the Amor Minerals news as well, Kev? AMC this week, the shareholders on the register at the close of play on Wednesday will be due a 1.8p dividend as the company traded ex-dividend. Ascent Resources announced an indicative offer for Amor Minerals that would value shares at 0.175 pence. The offer represents a 7.3% premium to the closing price Wednesday, when the 1.8 dividend is taken into consideration. Amor said they are considering the terms. Bit of a strange one, that, isn't it, considering the share price and the value in the shares and the dividend value?
Yeah, I mean, basically it's double the share price now.
The dividend's at 1.8p and this is 0.175 share offer.
So basically it's up to 2p, you mean?
Yeah.
Or just less than 2p. So the value in the rest of the company, not very much.
Yeah. What else this week has been on your radar? Drums has had a good week, hasn't it? We obviously talked to Kerry Chambers the previous week, and we also interviewed Angus, the CEO. What do you make of that movement on that? I think it was our bargain of the week last week, and it moved up from the sort of 5p range up to, I think, closed on Friday around the 6.5 pence. What do you make of that?
It was very good, but as you can probably hear, I'm munching Grandma Wild's biscuits. So while we're talking about this, so I'd just like to say thank you to one of our listeners who is one of the owners of Grandma Wild's biscuits, and they sent us Grandma Wild's biscuits, and we'll talk about them a bit later. But they're delicious. Anyway, Drums, another contract win.
Yeah, I was going to say, can you just stop eating and just talk stocks for a minute, and then we'll do the rest?
Yeah.
No, once you pop, you can't. They are addictive. We'll talk about how good they are in a minute, right?
The rhubarb ones are tremendous. Anyway,
I said to Sue, I said to the wife, I said, I guarantee Kev will be all over those rhubarb ones.
Anyway, Drums, very good. This is now a hidden gem. I think the marketplace that they're in, the type of contracts that they're attracting, the fact that they have a very large order book and a very large potential order book as well, really does bode well, I think, for the future. It's very tightly held, a few big shareholders in there. I fully expect this one to do very, very well, actually, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I agree. I concur. The other one this week that had a good run was Fox Marble Holdings, and we talked about this one in detail a couple of weeks ago. They basically began trading on AIM again after completing the reverse takeover of Eco Buildings Group, and the company will soon change the name to Eco Buildings Group with a new ticker on the main market as ECOB. Eco Buildings Group has acquired prefabricated modular technology and is expected to generate up to 114 million euros in revenue over the first 3 years following admission. So that had a pretty decent week. The other news that they're waiting on, I think somebody pinged me about this, is this claim, isn't it, in the court? It's been going for a good number of years now. So the company has basically, I think they issued a update on the shareholder record date for the Kosovan litigation. It's looking to potentially be awarded against the government of Kosovo 195 million euros. So I think the deadline for that for any shareholders was 6 p.m. on the 26th of May. So if you were holding the stock then, and if there is any award, then obviously it would be distributed. But the amount of tweets I saw about this is, when it was around the 1.9p range, there was a consolidation when it came back to market after completing the RTO. I think it was around 68-70 pence on Friday. But it looks like a bit of a punt, doesn't it, that one, in terms of this litigation, if it ever comes to fruition?
Yeah. It is a punt. It's one of those things, but I say it's a punt. The actual situation with the contract wins that Fox Marble have got and the stuff that they're doing actually makes it a good business as well, I think. So, yeah, I don't think just punting. I think there's some good stuff going on there as well.
Mm. So let's talk about wider markets then. We have the news in the US. The resolution of the US debt ceiling crisis has been positive for the global economy. It was announced on Thursday night. And I was just saying that it reinstates confidence in the dollar, a pivotal element in global trade and foreign exchange reserves. The dollar's dominant role influences obviously global financial outcomes, including the UK's export market, Bank of England's interest rate decisions, and housing and market trends. The removal of the debt crisis risk may trigger a relief rally affecting share prices and government debt yield positively, influencing UK markets beneficially. 60% of the foreign exchange reserves held by the central banks are in dollars. So it just shows how important it is, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it's the scenario with the whole dollar situation and this debt situation is been more a political game than a reality. It was always going to be resolved, but how it was going to be resolved, we didn't really know. But it seems like the Democrats and the Republicans have actually decided to bash something out and actually get it through. But it's going to be very interesting, because what it really means is that the budget that Biden had set for things like the $1 trillion he wanted to spend on the £1 trillion on the infrastructure budget is now going to be ready to go. So what effect is that going to have on the economy? So what effect is that going to have with the different things in the US? Also, there's also lots of talk about the US Federal Reserve and not going to raise rates in June. So that's probably likely to put downward pressure on the dollar. And we've seen gold spike again above $2,000 on a forward basis. So what do I see happening? I think the dollar's going to start to depreciate again. It went down to 100 roughly, bounced back up to 104 because of these uncertainties. And now I think it's going to start to fall again, is my likely scenario. But the infrastructure budgets all around the world have to have an impact on resources.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can't see that we won't see an uptick in copper and nickel and gold and silver and graphite and all the different things that are required for battery metals, because it has to happen, and lithium as well. So this story hasn't gone away. I think it's slowed down a bit, but it hasn't gone away. That's my view on it. And the dollar is going to play a big part of that, I think. But I think a weaker dollar for the rest of the world and possibly the US is a good thing. Not significantly weaker, maybe, but weaker.
Very good. So moving on, there was news on Tuesday of the fact that BSF Enterprise had successfully produced a further 2 full-scale fillets of cultivated pork, as well as a cultivated pork strip, which were presented at a technical event on Friday, the 25th of May. As you probably knew, we attended that said cultivated meat test, and we recorded a series of short audio clips for you to listen to. So if you're interested in that one, here they are. So here we are, another bright early start to the day. The weather's very good, about 16 degrees, just heading along the M25, heading down to the BSF Enterprise 3D Biotissues showcase event in Kent. How are you feeling, Kev, after our sort of bit of a road trip we've done around the UK to see various sites?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. Eating too much. Enjoyed our time certainly yesterday at Spectrum X, and then Tech Minerals, and now BSF Enterprises. We're going down to taste a bit of pork. And
yeah, so there's going to be two options there, isn't there? They're going to invite shareholders and investors to taste either a piece of the pork medallion fillet, or I believe it's some pork noodles.
Yeah, pork and egg noodles. So yeah, I'll be trying both if I can.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's going to be interesting what the taste and flavour and texture and everything else is.
Worth pointing out now, isn't it, that there was I believe a fresh broken out release from Shard Capital yesterday, wasn't there?
Yeah.
What was the new target on there?
Basically, it was saying that they felt that it was very undervalued, and 48 to, I think it was 62p now, but they said with future looking forward, they didn't understand why BSF Enterprises was not a £100 million company.
Yeah.
Which would put, considering it's about 12-13 million pounds now, I think.
Yeah.
In fact, we've had some rise this morning, so maybe a bit more than that, 15 million. You're talking seven-fold increase on that if it's a £100 million company. So you're talking about maybe £1 a share.
Yeah.
And you're currently 15p. So is it a bargain? I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, and the other thing worth pointing out was earlier in the week there was an announcement from the company that they'd been admitted to trading on the OTCQB market. So that was obviously very welcome news.
Yeah.
But we'll give you an update as and when we get down to the showcase event. Cheers. So here we are inside the Medway Food Innovation Centre, Kev. What are you seeing? Do you want to describe what we're seeing?
Yeah, we're just seeing very clinical kitchen with the steel tables all ready, with the cooker ready. We have a
few pots and pans and skillets.
Yeah, and a chef ready to cook the pork noodles and the pork fillets. I think it's not a huge piece of pork, obviously, so it's got to go around a number of people. So I think we're going to have a small bite each, and just had to sign the disclaimer that I'm happy to do it. The
activity waiver.
It's like jumping out of an aeroplane, but maybe I'm not jumping out of an aeroplane.
Good.
So all good.
So here we are with Ricardo, the Chief Scientific Officer of 3D Biotissues. Welcome, Ricardo.
Hello, Phil.
So, do you want to tell us a little bit about the meats that we're seeing on display here right now? The obviously one of them is a raw product, and the other one. Do you want to tell us how they grow?
Absolutely. So the one is a fillet medallion.
Medallion, yeah.
It is made with pork tissue. It is the demonstration of the ability to use our cultivated meat technology to create a 100% meat product, in this case with pork tissues, that is then grown and assembled as a fillet, a meat fillet. But we also brought today a meat noodle. There is no equivalent in nature, but this is again a way to demonstrate the ability to use the same technology and the same type of tissues in order to create a more diversified product range, always based on a 100% cultivated meat.
And these have used the City Mix then to enhance the growth.
Absolutely. So City Mix is fundamental in the process, as it greatly increases the production yield of cells and of tissues that then the cells themselves produce. It is a way to use less resources and obtain a larger amount of meat in the end of the process. and it really enables the technology to reduce the cost of cultivated meat products in order to be more accessible to the market.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you.
So, the taste test has just happened. Kev's tasted a piece of the pork medallion. What do you think, Kev? What do you? I mean, talk about the texture and obviously how it looked on the plate before you put it in.
Yeah, I mean, it was seared, cooked. As maybe in the future you'll see the videos when they come out, but it was seared, cooked. So I took a piece that was from the top and then going down a bit. So yeah, you got sort of the crunch of the sear of the meat and then a softer bit underneath. Tasted like pork. I have a sort of fatty residue in my mouth of the flavour of the meat. Tastes like pork, seasoned pork with a bit of salt. I didn't put any of the sauce or anything on it, so I could garner the full taste. Yeah, it just tastes like meat, to be honest. I mean, it really does. I'm not just saying that. So, yeah, there is going to be refinement, I think, in this, but as a first start, yeah, tastes like meat. What can I say? Well, gentlemen, well done. Here we are at the Oliver's restaurant afterwards of the tasting of the pork fillet. It was a great success. Give us your thoughts.
Thank you, Kev. Yeah, it was a technical test to address the consistency and the flavour of it amongst the stakeholders, and it's gone very well.
Good. I mean, many years building this up. Shay, it must feel great to finally get there and have these fillets and noodles there.
Yes, it's certainly it's been a long time to get to this point. There's been an awful lot of research and development in controlling cells to produce aligned tissues that have all the structural characteristics of meat in this case. So it's a long journey, but what a big milestone for us.
15 years of R&D, the development, and also spun out from 2018. So it's been a long journey for you.
Absolutely, yeah, Phil. And we're really pleased with the team. Great team in Newcastle. Done a great job in preparing the meat for the technical test, and couldn't be happier with them.
Very good. How are you feeling, Jeff, on this day?
I'm feeling really pleased to see all the shareholders gathering together to, not all the shareholders maybe, but some of the shareholders, to enjoy the products of a lot of hard work. And Shaun and his team have done a great job.
Very good.
Great. Enjoy your meal now, and we will speak to you in a while.
You bet.
Thank you. Cheers. So there you go. I mean, a little bit of a muted response to the fact that they'd actually done that. And there was quite a lot of, I wouldn't say negativity, but a lot of people saying, it was a shame we couldn't attend and things like that. So that wasn't well received. But the other element of it was they announced the shard note as well was put out as an RNS, wasn't it? Just confirming that you could read the note through either the shard website or on BSF's website itself. So what did you make of the visit and everything?
Yeah, I thought it was very good. I read the shard note. I thought it was excellent. And, it's given a much higher share price, obviously, as expectations. I think it's at 48 to 64p, I think it was. Yeah, I tasted the pork. Obviously, we attended, and it tastes like pork. It smells like pork. It felt like pork in the mouth, bit of fattiness, and also the pork itself, the meat. I wouldn't say it would be perfect, but it was very, very close. And there's obviously work to be done to improve it, as this is only the first or second scenario that I've actually had. I can safely say it didn't have any adverse effects on my body. So I think it's a major step forward. I think it's really good. I think what everybody's missing here with BSFA is that the scenario is threefold where they're going to make money as it stands at the minute, and I think it could be much more. The first and most important, I think, is city mix, which is going to be sales and more sales and repeated sales. And as they build that sales book up, it's going to be very interesting how much money they can make from that. The second one, which is, I think, more likely to happen before the meat production side of things, is the leather or the skin, that they can produce this for basically bespoke leather makers. So if you now want to, whatever it happens to be, a crocodile bag or a crocodile pair of shoes or whatever, then you don't have to kill a crocodile anymore. You grow it from the cells. And I think this is going to appeal to the societies that we started to live in, to be honest with you. And then the third thing then is obviously the meat, and producing the meat at a price where it is accessible to most people. I think it's going to have very positive impact on the planet in terms of not having as many cows, pigs, and all the rest of it, and killing them. So obviously there is energy involved and there's other things involved to produce it, but not the same things as we have now. So I see a balance in some of these things that will really help. And fourth, I suppose, in terms of its peers in the US, it is ridiculously cheap. Absolutely ridiculously cheap. Like maybe a factor of 10 times cheaper than the same companies doing similar things, and I believe not as good, and they're like 10 times less. It's bizarre.
Good. TM1 as well, you wanted to mention?
Yeah, TM1, I mean, it's getting closer, isn't it? We're only a few weeks now away from...
A week closer, that's for sure.
Yeah, first production of these batteries, or recycling these batteries. And then we're basically on a money-making machine, you know. It's basically put them in, make money, and next, please.
Yep.
And you saw that in the share price this week, didn't it? It got a bit stronger there on Thursday and Friday. I don't know what it finished at. I think it was 235 or something like that. But still, for what it's likely to do in terms of its income from even just this one plant, in my view, it's well undervalued. At 35 million, there's a possibility it will produce close to that in profit in 1 year from the one lithium battery plant. So how on earth is it only valued at 35 million? And then you've got all the mining assets as well.
So I think we're going to go something a bit more light-hearted this week. We've got a big shout-out, as you mentioned earlier on, to John Bateman of Grandma Wilds, and thanking him for sending us a couple of care packs this week of his amazing biscuits. Basically, you've got some there, I've got some here, I've got a box in front of me. I've got the butterscotch biscuits. What are you currently crunching on?
I'm just about to crunch on a flapjack, which are tremendous.
I don't know if I got any flapjacks, but I've got a box of these butterscotch biscuits, and they look delicious, and I'm just going to try one now. I mean, the crunch on them is fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah. No, they're delicious. Absolutely delicious. I looked online, and they're not that expensive either.
No.
Between £2 and £3 a packet. And really, all the biscuits in the supermarket are this much, no?
A little bit of history about the business. It's a family business, and it's fourth generation. Carries on the tradition of baking delicious biscuits using many of the recipes created over a century ago by our great-grandmother, Annie Wild. The original bakery was established circa 1899 in the Lancashire seaside resort of Morecambe. Know it well. Annie Wild ran the bakery shop and a boarding house whilst being a full-time mum to 3 boys. Her eldest son, John, yearned to return to his Yorkshire roots, away from the seasonal summer trade, and in 1920 he and Annie opened a shop in the historic village of Haworth, home of the famous Bronte sisters, where they began to build on the heritage of Annie Wild's unique biscuit recipes. Haworth remained the home of the family bakery until the beginning of the new millennium, when they moved to their current purpose-built site in Steeton in West Yorkshire. Though the company has grown in size from its humble beginnings, today's business holds true to the legacy of its founder, Grandma Wild. Amazing. What are your favourites? Because there was a hell of a lot in that box, wasn't there?
Yeah. The fruit flapjack, I've eaten the whole packet in my fridge. The rhubarb, tremendous. Actual candied rhubarb inside the biscuit.
See, I wasn't a fan of those. Too much scenting in those for me, perfume, but...
No, they were delicious. That was from the candied rhubarb itself, though.
But my favourite is the ginger biscuit, the classic ginger. And I was speaking to John about this, and he said that they are, every year, consistently award winners.
Wow.
Awards.
Yeah, my mother had those. She liked them.
If you want a box of them, you can head over to grandmawilds.co.uk, and I believe that this created a discount code for us. Do you want to read that code out, Kev, to listeners?
Sunday roast, all capitals, and you will get 15% off your order.
Excellent. Fancy some nice biscuits? I'm just having it with a nice coffee with an espresso here, and I'll tell you what, it goes very well.
I haven't actually tried the cakes yet, but there was a couple of cakes there, a salted caramel cake and a fruit loaf cake. They come in just over £4 each, I think. I was surprised how reasonable they were, actually, in terms of the price when we looked online.
Because they're quite large, aren't they?
Yeah. There's many flavours of biscuit and cake. But yeah, tremendous. We thank you for the box. I don't thank you for the calories, but I thank you for the box and
You're not meant to eat them all in one go, though, Kev. You just, pan them out.
Yeah, no. Well, it's taken me 24 hours to eat a packet of the fruity flapjacks, which are very good.
Football.
Just before we go, though, I'm going to mention Chill, because Chill had some games this week. Not sure what the games were, but we noticed a large amount of shorts suddenly appear. The share price went down, and then shock horror, a lot of buying took place. What could have possibly happened? And then towards the end of the week, the shorts started to disappear, and the share price went back up again. So imagine my surprise. We also are running a Chill competition for vapes, by the way. So if you're not in any of the groups, if you want to send us an email to admin@thesundayroast.net, and you will get one of the vapes if you predict the share price next Friday, or what the share price is going to be, or you're closest to the share price next Friday. So what do you think of the bargain of the week last week, Phil? Drums.
Well, I think we've already done drums, haven't we? We've said that it's moved very well from the 5p that I referenced it at, and it's gone to finish the day around 6.5 pence. Volume is up. I think there's been around 15 million traded, which is pretty impressive, and it just looks primed to go for me. It's still not really anywhere near its real value.
Okay, so what are you going to go for this week as your bargain of the week?
I think it'd have to be, as we're another week closer towards the first production at the Lybat site in Tipton, I would have to in Wolverhampton, I would have to go with Technology Minerals. TM1 is the ticker. Just so much potential. Get that plant up and running. They were, when we visited a couple of weeks ago, they were in the final throes of getting the filtration system in place. There's a few conditions that they had to satisfy for the EA for actually turning the site on. All hands on deck, wasn't it? Everything was going. There was a lot of manpower on site, and I think that as it moves towards an anticipation towards that production, that it should move back up into the 3 pence mark.
Yeah, I have to concur. I think it's undervalued. It had its bounce from sort of the 1p level to roughly where it is now. It's sat there now for 4 to 5 weeks, I think it is, at least, and we saw it priming itself ready to go, I think. So yeah, and the fundamentals are certainly there. So yeah, let's see what happens with that one.
Yeah, so we're moving on to sport. I have in front of me, obviously you can probably just about see it, it is can you see it there?
I've seen a horrible picture of Ten Hag
and it is the final. It is the FA Cup final program. And Ten Hag on one side saying United, this is the one. And on the other side, in sky blue, you have a picture of our friend. Who's that?
Yeah.
There he is saying City seize the time. So, yeah, I mean, do you know what? I genuinely said probably about 15, 16 years ago now, I said that, no, it's actually longer than that. It's 24 years ago. I said that no one will ever do the treble again. Okay. And I'm going to probably about to be proved wrong on that in the next probably 2 to 4 weeks, because I think we're going to get absolutely annihilated on Saturday against City.
In the next 7 days or 8 days, because it's this Saturday and then next Saturday.
Yeah.
So, do I think Manchester United have a chance? I think you have a chance if you stop them scoring and it goes 0-0 all the way to penalties. Otherwise, I don't think you've got a prayer, personally.
So if United win and it stops the treble, which I did say would never be replicated, then happy days. And also it gives us another bit of another trophy this season.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
Oh, no, sorry, I didn't say that. I won't say it.
Of course you do. All good. Well, I'll just say thanks for listening. Thanks, John, for the biscuits. And we'll be back next week.
Yeah, John the Baker, you're a star. My mother very happy with all these biscuits, and yeah, I had too many and I'm not happy about that, but so just left.
Cheers.
This podcast was brought to you by Roast PR Limited. If you would like to appear on a future episode of The Sunday Roast, please email admin@thesundayroast.net.